Hi everyone, welcome back to the fourth video in my video series. In today's video, we're going to be doing a mini case study on the company Organic Valley. Before diving into their marketing techniques, let's really quickly look at their history in order to have some context for the company. As you can see on their website here in the About section, Organic Valley has a story. It all started in 1988, and it was a handful of Midwest farmers. As you can see on screen now, many farmers came together. Our friends and neighbors around the Kali region were discarded by a bankrupt agricultural system, and we were told to get big or get out. Industrial chemical farming was the only existing option for survival. Never mind its effects on our health, our animals, and our environment. These farmers didn't want that, however. They didn't want to be industrial chemical farmers, and they didn't want to be at the mercy of corporate agriculture. And so ultimately, Organic Valley came together with a group of farmers to create a farmer cooperative. Cooperative farming is a system where farmers voluntarily pool their resources, such as land, labor, machinery, and capital, to manage farming operations collectively, aiming for higher productivity and lower costs. In this case, Organic Valley did this to lower costs and increase productivity, but it also allowed them to uphold their own values within the cooperative. Moving down the page, we can see that Organic Valley was on a mission to change the way people think about food. They set high organic standards for themselves, standards that eventually served as the framework for the USDA's organic rules all that time ago. Now let's dive into some of the marketing techniques that Organic Valley uses. First, let's recognize what market they're in. Their market is a pretty competitive landscape. There are conventional dairy, vegetable, and meat brands that offer competitive prices for consumers. Additionally, other organic brands are in their competitive landscape. A lot of times, there are key tensions between premium pricing versus customer price sensitivity. Still, however, Organic Valley upholds their values, and this is part of their marketing principles. They're USDA certified organic, they prioritize animal welfare and market it, they have environmental stewardship and sustainability on their farms, which source their organic products, and they have sourcing transparency. Moving on, the target market analysis for Organic Valley sees a target market on families conscious about health, wellness, and sustainability, environmentally conscious consumers, ethical consumers regarding animal welfare, high income households, and those who just like the products, albeit taste, texture, whatever that may be. As touched upon earlier, Organic Valley upholds many values. Very simply, their value proposition retains these three principles: USDA certified organic products, family livelihood and trust, and sustainability. In practice, Organic Valley's marketing looks like this: storytelling about farmers, sustainability, and organic standards, mission-driven campaigns that highlight animal care and a farm life, digital, TV, and social integration, including social media, creative guerrilla tactics to build buzz, consumer insight campaigns that feel authentic, and finally, packaging and PR enhancements to reinforce their brand values. Now I would like to speak about the interview I had with the Vice President of Marketing at Organic Valley. Some of the topics we discussed included Organic Valley doesn't have that much money or have as much money as larger companies to put towards marketing. While some conventionally sourced brands are able to go all in on their marketing techniques for certain products like milk or butter, Organic Valley has to be a little bit more unique with their marketing strategies, as they don't have as much money to allocate towards advertisements. So with resources spread thin, they have to be creative with funding and with marketing. Another thing we talked about was the downfalls to an organic company. Specifically with dairy, with the price premiums on milk, there are always questions about if there is enough organic milk supply to go around and if it's at a good and stable price. One of the reasons that Organic Valley pursued organic oat products and beverages was because the demand for oat based products was rising and the volatility of the milk market was a question. As far as the role as the vice president of marketing, I came to understand some of the tasks that this individual may perform. Ultimately, strategic marketing starts with consumers. And so that starts with consumer reports to figure out what consumers need and want via tests. For example, organic consumers may want a protein shake, one with good ingredients, one that's convenient, and one that still harbors sustainability. That is what Organic Valley Fuel intended to serve for consumers. Additionally, marketing teams reassess from innovative perspectives. Ultimately, they want to see how they can fill the consumer needs. For a market analysis, it's important to look at whether this market is growing or shrinking. And that can be in organics as a whole, or it can be a little bit more specific to certain product lines like oat, dairy, certain vegetables, etc. But really, as I said before, the roles and responsibilities of VP of Marketing looks at consumer insights and changes in the market and ultimately how Organic Valley can adequately reflect that and serve their customers accordingly. Another thing that I learned about was price pack architecture. Specifically with the oat beverage, it was originally 52 ounces and ultimately they downsized to 42 ounces. And so looking at price pack architecture is an incredibly important aspect of coming up with a product and bringing it to market that I didn't think about previously. More specifically with the consumer reports, however, and not the size of the packaging, there are life cycle studies. This entails looking at who is coming into the organic market and who is purchasing these products from a life cycle standpoint. A lot of times we see moms and those expecting or those with children purchasing these products from Organic Valley. In this interview, it was really interesting to hear about new terms that marketing individuals may use. With price pack architecture specifically, also known as PPA, it's a strategic revenue growth management lever in CPG that optimizes product portfolios by aligning pack sizes, configurations, and price points with consumer purchasing occasions and channel specific needs. Ultimately, this boosts profitability and market share by matching value, price, and demand with the size of the product. Lastly, the vice president of marketing still honed in on these principles and values, which she and the company intends on upholding. She spoke about the priority of still paying farmers livable wages and fair prices for their organic products. Additionally, another value being upheld is having a good price premium for the products and giving that to the farmers. Ultimately, having a better price for farmers is going to support the sustainability and farmer-focused activities that they perform on their farms. Another term that she kept bringing up that I didn't know was P&L, and ultimately that just means profit and loss. So although the company is looking to uphold the values, and they still do that, they still need to focus on profit and loss and not lose all their money and go out of business. In addition to getting to interview the vice president of marketing at Organic Valley, I also had the pleasure to interview with a marketing events manager at Organic Valley. One of the main things we first discussed in this interview was being a customer versus a consumer and the different marketing techniques that are used for each. A customer is the person or organization that purchases the product for sale. Think about a retailer like a grocery store or a conventional retailer. This is a business-to-business sale. On the other hand, the consumer is the person who's actually using or consuming the product. They're the ones purchasing the products from the customer. An example of this would be me adding Organic Valley creamer to my coffee. In regards to marketing to customers, again, this is a business to business transaction. Buyers decide shelf placement, promotions, and pricing. They also control distribution and purchasing decisions. So, what are some of the ways that Organic Valley may market to customers? Well, a big thing is marketing to customers via expo shows. For example, the Natural Products Expo West is the largest trade show in the US dedicated to the natural, organic, and healthy products industry. For their customers, Organic Valley sets themselves apart by doing farm tours. This allows the customer to get farmer insight, which puts a face and or an animal to the product that they will be purchasing from Organic Valley. It also allows the customers to analyze herd health and see the farm at a different level than just the TV, social media, or on their phone. Although it sounds like Organic Valley has great marketing techniques for their customers, and I do believe that is the case, there are always challenges. Communication can be a challenge, speaking with customers and getting in contact with them. And additionally, there are challenges with getting retailers out on the farms for these insight events. Finding times for retailers to attend events or just managing those schedules can sometimes be a really hard thing to balance as the marketing events manager. Now that we know what it looks like to market to customers, let's see what it looks like to market to consumers. Consumer-facing events also occur just as customer-facing events occur, like the Expo West. Recently, there was an experience at Rockefeller Center centered on influencers and media. There was the ability to milk a fake cow, take pictures on a tractor, and there was a cow topiary, in addition to some other fun and exciting things to look at. Events aren't the only thing that Organic Valley does to market to consumers, though. They have advertisements on social media like YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, in addition to their advertisements in person and at the store. These seek to build relationships with consumers. In the future, the marketing events manager may look to make some marketing changes. Organic Valley still wants to continue to tell farmer stories and use that as a marketing technique. However, the public relations team may see more use. The public relations team can increase brand awareness and cause retail shifts. They can focus more on demographics with the help of the vice president's findings, and they can utilize this data and then create events based off of this data for the public. Being in organic marketing certainly comes with its challenges. One of the main challenges mentioned was dealing with greenwash companies and figuring out clever ways to have customers and consumers alike understanding the organic principle. Greenwashing is a deceptive marketing practice where companies fabricate or exaggerate the environmental benefits of their products, services, or operations to appear more sustainable than they actually are. Prior to the interview, this was something that I did think about. However, I didn't understand how much of a burden it could be for marketers at organic companies to deal with these greenwash companies. Ultimately, the big thing is showing consumers what the organic label means and working around and being clever in order to show customers and consumers alike why organics is better than some of the other claims that companies may be utilizing on their food packaging labels. Moreover, greenwash companies isn't the only challenge. As the marketing events manager, the individual told me that they needed to manage the amount of farm exposure. A lot of times it's hard to show at a high level what a farm does and looks like, but at the same time, they may not want to show all the nitty-gritty details of a farm. For social media specifically, it's normally easier to keep it a little bit more high level, showing the highlights of a farming operation and not all the nitty-gritty details that some people may not like to see or may not ultimately understand when seeing farm operations on a day-to-day basis. Still, however, I believe that farm exposure can be a great way to show consumers where their products are coming from and the sustainability aspects that farmers are working hard to uphold. This concludes my video on Organic Valley and the many case studies surrounding them, specifically with their marketing techniques. I'm very grateful for the 2 interviews that I was able to conduct with 2 workers from the company, and they gave me great insight into the organic marketing techniques that this company utilizes. Stay tuned for the next video. Thanks.